Good morning. Yesterday, I was going down through this list of state of the school things that I did last year, and I got half of the list. I went through half of it, so I'm getting close to the end. Uh, but I'm not going to go on with that today. Instead, I want to talk about my trip to Roaring Spring yesterday. Now, the sound is different, and it's probably because of that curtain back there. I don't know, or I might have a cold. Uh, it doesn't seem as bright right now, so I don't know. You may have to use the subtitles. I can talk louder, but I don't. That might be muffling it some. Probably is. All right. Wednesday. I usually go to Roaring Spring. I'm trying to be real regular about that. Wednesday afternoon, and I knew a snowstorm was coming, but I thought I'll chance it. It's probably not going to be that bad, and it hadn't started really yet when I left. And so around 1 o'clock or something like that, I headed to Roaring Spring, and what a trip! It's why I really need to debrief some of these trips, and this was one. I was not going to Hollidaysburg. I was just going to Roaring Spring and back. And truth be told, it would have been okay to not go, but there was a woman. No, actually, that's not true at all. I was going to meet with two people at Danny K's Cafe, and I'll tell you about them as I met them. So anyway, I go over the mountain, and I passed. There's a little tiny store. Now, when you go over Broomba Mountain on the far side, there's a sign about watch for carriages, horse and buggies. You're in old order Mennonite country where they speak Pennsylvania Dutch and they use horses. I mean, they speak English too. Uh, they use horses and buggies. They don't plow. The Mennonites that I've seen, they don't plow with their horses. They use tractors, but more often than not, they're going to be steel wheeled. The Amish, they work their ground with horses. Well, anyway, there's a little tiny store there that I've always been tempted to just stop and check and see what's that like. I never see anybody there. It's like in a garage. It's not a separate store, and there's just a sign that says public store or something like that. But I didn't. I almost stopped and turned around and went back because I'm looking for what's called an informant for the language Pennsylvania Dutch. I want to learn it, and I think I can learn it. And I've got a plan now. I just have to find an informant, somebody who is native speaker, fluent, wouldn't have to be native speaker, but fluent, and also speak English, who can answer my questions. They wouldn't have to teach me. I'd do the burden of teaching myself, but I'd have to ask questions. Well, anyway, I didn't, but I did stop at another store that was there, a bigger, fancier one. Says it's called Health by Choice, organic foods and stuff. And I wanted to see, well, maybe there's I'm looking for a Mennonite who would take the time. I'd want about an hour time to once a week, say, to gather this information. I'd pay. Well, I went in there and I was really surprised. It wasn't run by men. I went in with the question: does anybody here speak Pennsylvania Dutch? And nobody did. There was a woman in a bonnet sitting back there waiting for something. I don't know what it was, an older woman. I'm sure she would have spoken Pennsylvania Dutch. But anyway, I looked at the stuff and I was just amazed because it's almost like a wholesale. They must have a vast mailing clientele. I couldn't believe how many foods, medicines. I mean well, anyway, so that they were real nice to me and all that, and I explained what I was trying to do, but they that didn't work out. So I got back in the car and headed toward Roaring Spring. Well, when I got to Roaring Spring, I knew I had to be at Danny K's. I said I'd be there about 2:30. I told her because one of the men I was going to meet is her boyfriend, and he has a shop right by there, and he'd come down. I said I can be there by 2:30, I think. Well, I went up to I always kind of go around. I don't go right through the heart of Roaring Spring. I go around because I love to look at the houses, which is a whole other story. But I stopped at a hardware store, Ace Hardware. It used to be Mingle's department store. And anyway, I was looking for 2-inch safety pins because I'm going to put a curtain up back here, a blanket. I might do that today. I hope it doesn't deaden the sound even more. It probably will. I don't know. My camera can only do so much. 2-inch safety pins, big ones, to go through this thick blanket. And I went in, and again they were kind of nice, or they were real nice. A guy, he was going to look around and see, and he even went online. He said, no, we don't have anything like that. But anyway, as I was leaving, I asked him. I said, I have another question. It's real different. I said, does anybody in this store speak Pennsylvania Dutch? And I'm in Roaring Spring now, and he was surprised. He thought, what a question. And he thought, and he didn't think so. But he was interested. I explained to him that I wanted to learn the language, and I just needed somebody that I could meet with on a regular basis for a few weeks as an informant. I explained this stuff to him. I wasn't in a hurry. And he said, well, wait a minute, I'll check with Dylan. I didn't catch the name right away, and so he called him or however, texted him or whatever, and said, well, he'll come. If anybody can, it would be him. And we talked some more. Real pleasant guy. And I was about to go because I said, well, he's probably busy. I don't want to bother him, or the guy. But then he said, no, wait, here he comes. And up comes this guy, and I explained to him what I was doing, and he said, what was his advice? In the store, he said, no, but if you'd go to Martinsburg, I think he might have said, or south down Route 36 into Woodbury, or the Loysburg area, you can almost certainly find somebody there. And I said, he was so interesting to talk to. I said to him, you might be interested. Oh, because he explained that the first guy explained that he was an actor. He was into drama. He put plays on, and I was curious about that. I said, really? And he said, yeah. There's a playhouse down in Loysburg, and we put on a couple shows a year, and I'm going on about this, but I think it's worth it. And I said, well, as an actor, you might be interested in the way I teach languages and why I think I can learn Pennsylvania Dutch very fast. I teach it as if it were a part in a play, that you memorize your lines. I don't teach any grammar, really, or even, spelling. I use my spelling system. I didn't tell them that. But I create a little skit, like a little play, for two characters back and forth, and they have a conversation. And I did it in Spanish, and I did it in French, and I did it in German, and I can do it in Pennsylvania Dutch. Anyway, he was fascinated with that, and one thing led to another. And I said, since you're so interested, or since you're into drama, I mean, that's his big hobby, I think, you might be interested to know that I have a Shakespearean set in the barn. And I said, did you ever see Shakespeare in Love, the movie? And he says, oh, yeah, I saw that. First guy I ran into in that whole area that had seen it. And I said, well, you remember the way that camera at the beginning spirals down and it's open to the sky? And he said, yeah, I remember that. And it kind of celebrates the theater. I said, well, that's the way my theater is. And I built it. It's in the barn and it's set up. but I built it with that in mind, that stage, not the Globe Theater, but the little one, the Rose Theater, that was used in that play. Oh, what's her name? Dench, Judy Dench. She was given that set. I was told. I don't know what she ever did with it. I should find out because she liked that set so much. She played the part of Queen Elizabeth that they gave it to her. I'll have to find out about that. Oh, I'm going to have to make this a two-parter, I think. Anyway, yeah, oh yeah, he was real interested. He says, that's ironic because just yesterday, he said, or last week, I was put on the board of directors of this little group of actors. And one of the things I want to do when we have our meeting is I wanted to say, should we try to do something classic? They do murder mysteries and little plays and stuff. He was hoping that they could do something more meaty. Now, he's also acted in the Mishler Theater and other places around. I mean, he is an actor. And he said, I'm going to ask him about Shakespeare because they might be interested in what you've done and what you've got there. And I even told him that where I'd like to see that set up, and I took it into the high school and brought it back 8 times, 3 pickup truck loads of my 3/4 ton pickup to get all the stuff in there and to bring it back, set it up, take it down, set it up. I'd like to see it in the middle of Roaring Spring somewhere. I told him, oh yeah, that would be, and so we had that good conversation. His name is Dawson, Doeson. We'll be in touch online, I'm sure. But what a coincidence, because that's one of the things I've been in the back of my mind about Roaring Spring. Could I manage to get that theater, that stage? I call it a theater. It's really a stage because at that time they didn't have whole theaters. They just pulled wagons out in the middle of the town and they basically did their acting on a wagon. I am going to make this a two-parter. So anyway, I came out of the hardware store. I went in looking for 2-inch safety pins, and I came out with a potential Morrison's Cove Shakespearean troupe. Bye for now.